One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet who millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Good morning, everybody, on a Sunday morning. Going to have to go to church after this show, but what we have coming up is President Trump will be with Maria Bartiromo on Fox News, so we will be covering that. Thank you for tuning in last night to the debacle that is our U.S. government. Actually, I thought I had to shut the stream down. It seems to be still running on its own over there, where they're reading all 1,000+ pages of the bill because Chuck Schumer decided that's what he wanted to make happen. What an absolute idiot. An absolute shame that our government runs that way. Makes me ill. Absolutely crazy. So here's what's going to happen today. I'm going to do this show. We're going to watch the interview with President Trump and Maria. As soon as that show ends, I'm going to skedaddle off to church. And what will happen probably before this show ends, the stream that's currently running will stop. YouTube only allows a 12-hour maximum stream, 12 hours. And as of right now, it's been going for 11 hours. So what I'm going to do is we won't do the normal after party here. You guys can go jump over into the stream that I'll put back up. I probably do that at the same time. So I'll run the after party here to give me time to configure the other stream over there. Wait a minute. No, I can't do that. Okay. All right, so I'm going to have to shut this stream down. YouTube will shut down the other stream. I'll reconfigure it, and I'll start the Senate hearing thing up again. Because we're probably going to be getting close here to the time when this debacle of having to read everything will be over. Then what will happen is then they'll begin voting on the actual final bill. So just to let everybody know, as of right now, the bill has not passed. I saw some people in the chat saying it passed. No, it has not. So let's recap. I know a lot of people, you hear a lot of things. Here's actually what happened. Ready? Okay. The House passed a bill. the House bill that they approved goes to the Senate. The Senate had the bill. Once it got to the Senate, they sliced and diced and made all kinds of deletions and additions and everything else, all the different amendments that they wanted to do. Once they did all their amendments and decided what they were going to do, then what happens is it goes to a process called consideration. It has to pass consideration in order to get an actual vote. So first of all, we had a fight. We had to get enough votes to get it considered, not voted on. So there was a whole kind of theatrics went on, and Ron Johnson voted no, and then somehow backdoor J.D. Vance and President Trump convinced him, you need to vote yes. He flipped, and they were able to vote it out of consideration. That was the vote that took place. It has not passed. So now what happened, Chuck Schumer said, well, I'm going to play dirty, and before we can consider it to vote, we're going to make you guys read the entire thing out loud to everybody. Childish. So they're going through all of this, and they're reading every single page, line by line. And then the discussion will take whether or not they're going to vote. Then, even if they do vote it and pass it in the Senate, it's still not done. It has to go back to the House because they changed it. So there's a lot of stuff to be done here still, and it's a lot of procedural BS, and nobody knows at this point what they've cut or what they've kept. My other feed computer is making noise, so I'm sorry about that. I don't want to stop here. Actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and do this, and then I'll be right back. See, I talk a lot about being proactive. I talk a lot about eating well, starting to lose some weight myself, get this figure back to its old days. And I also talk to you about, whether or not it's your finances, your career, or your health. When it comes to your health, one of the smartest moves you can make, especially as we get older, is protecting your heart, your brain, and for me, especially my joints from playing football and sitting in a chair for 6 hours at a time sometimes. That's why I've added Native Path krill oil to my daily routine. Now you might be wondering, what's the difference between krill oil and other omega-3s like fish oil? Well, krill oil is not regular fish oil. Krill oil is sourced from pristine Antarctic waters, away from heavy metals and toxins you want to avoid, like Democrats. It's packed with powerful omega-3s in phospholate form, which means your body actually absorbs these omega-3s up to 2 times more efficiently than typical fish oil. But here's the kicker. Krill oil also contains one of nature's strongest antioxidants to help you get rid of and fight free radical damage, support brain clarity, and promote healthy aging. Yes, it's happening. We are all aging. We got to do something about it if we plan on being here for some time. It's been shown to be significantly more potent than many other antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin E. In fact, research has shown that krill oil, with its powerful omegas and powerful antioxidants, can help you in a number of ways. It helps your joints, as it may reduce inflammation and improve joint pain. It may improve your heart function by improving blood flow, winkety wink, and reducing oxidative stress. It may help your memory and cognitive performance. And krill oil may improve visual fatigue. I sit here, you guys know I'm looking at lights and cameras and monitors for 5, 6, 7, or 8 hours a day, depending on how many shows. So visual fatigue is very important to me. And it can protect against age-related macular degeneration. It also may help protect against UV damage here in the summer and reduce signs of aging like wrinkles. And it may also help you with liver health, exercise, performance, and metabolic health. The science is clear. So if you want to support your heart, your joints, your brain, and do it with a clean, highly absorbable source, go to getkrill.com/Barry and grab your krill oil for up to 66% off plus free shipping. That site again is getkrill.com/Barry. I've gone ahead, I've got that thing turned down so it's not blasting into the microphone. But anyway, I hope you now understand there's still some way to go. It looks like it's on its way to being passed, but as of right now, this is not a done deal. The bill is not passed. I don't know why people try to conflate things and say, hey, it's been passed. It's not been passed. If it was passed, they wouldn't be reading it right now. But they are. All right, so it's not passed. It's got to go through consideration. They did that. Then they're going to read it. Then they're going to begin debating for the actual vote. And then after that vote, hopefully it's successful, then it's got to go back to the House for their vote because of all the changes. Are we all straight there? I want to make sure everybody understands what this procedure is and what it looks like. Some people are going to wonder, what did the parliamentarian do? Is this included? Is that included? I have no idea. Maybe if people listened overnight and they heard what she was reading, but nobody probably was paying attention because they had speed readers on and it sounded like you were at an auction. I don't know what's in it. Nobody at this point except the people who were in the late night negotiations know what's in it. But whatever's in it, it got Ron Johnson to flip back. So there was a deal cut there somewhere. Something got sliced out. None of us really knows what it is, and I don't see anybody this morning talking about what got sliced and what's staying in. So that's going to be interesting. So don't listen to people tell you that it's been passed. Or, I mean, you can ignore me, but it has not been passed. Now, something that did come out of last night is President Trump came out swinging. He is pissed off at Tom Tillis. He posted this long post about Tom Tillis, which I'm not going to read the entire thing because he basically just destroyed him. He wants to end his career. Looks like Senator Tom Tillis, as usual, wants to tell the nation that he's given them a 68% tax increase as opposed to the biggest tax cut in American history. At the same time, he is unable to understand the importance of a debt extension, which Republicans gave to the Democrats just prior to the November 5th election, because of its significance and how important it was for the future of the USA. So he's not happy with Tom Tillis whatsoever, and he even, once he vented this, and it's a long post, probably directed at the people of North Carolina. Yeah, you effed up. You really effed up putting this guy in office. You effed up by putting a Democrat governor in office. But nonetheless, you're going to have to fix it. And not only is he venting, he's putting his money and his time, resources behind fixing it. He then posted this at 10 o'clock last night. Numerous people have come forward wanting to run in the primary against Tom Tillis. He calls him Senator Tom for some reason. I will be meeting with them over the coming weeks, looking for someone who can properly represent the great people of North Carolina and, so importantly, the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Tom, you're done. Start packing your bags, bro. You are absolutely done. You are not representing the people of North Carolina. You're doing something for your own special interest. By the way, that goes for Thomas Massie, Rand Paul, and a few other people. He's going to remember who you are, and he's going to come gunning for you. I mean, this is not going to be pretty, especially if this thing gets passed, but we shall see. That being said, we are running, so no more vacations for Congress, and they should work 24/7 the way Trump works. Yeah, he's not stopping. Last night, what I understand from everything, all the reports that were coming out, J.D. Vance was in the Capitol working the room. President Trump was in his basic situation room, wasn't a war room, but he was in the Oval Office going after it, monitoring the whole thing. It's that important. So here we are at 9:45 in the morning, and they're still, let me see if that feed is still up. It's still up. They're still talking and reading the bill. I don't even know how many pages they have left to go. Most of Congress are self-serving idiots. Yes, they are. You know what really sucks? What really sucks to me is if you demand the reading of the bill, you should have to read it. They should put that in there. Hey, we understand there's a procedural thing here that if you demand the reading that it has to be read, we're going to amend it and say if you request it, you get your ass up on stage on that podium and you read it. You put your old butt up there. Chuck Schumer. You got to make these people stay up all night? How is that possibly okay? You're going to make them stay up all night. That's crazy. I'm surprised they didn't read the Braille version of the bill. You know what I was thinking when I was watching it myself? I thought, you know what would be really interesting? Would be to have 10 people reading it. See, I understand what the statute is. The statute says if a reading is requested, you have to read it out loud. Well, what if they had 10 different podiums in 10 different locations and all reading at the same time? Jill is reading pages 1 through 100. Fred is reading pages 101 to 200. Jimmy's reading 201 to 300. And they're all just reading it. And you're going to get 10 times work done in 1x the time. I don't know, maybe it's an entrepreneurial mindset that's sitting me and go, how can I do this faster? Well, I would have hired a bunch of auctioneers and let them run through it. You've heard those guys who do the disclaimer ads on television when they're doing like insurance, and they get done with the ad, and it's about not available in Minnesota and Texas and Tennessee, and not if you're 25 or if you can hear. I mean, those guys just fly through it. You know, like, you want to play games? Let's play games. I've got 10 people lined up, and they're all going to start reading. I don't think there's anything in the law that says it has to be, what do you call it, in a sequential. It doesn't have to be sequential. It just has to be read, right? Okay, let's do it. Dems are still upset that Doge turned off their limited slush fund. And the thing with it, like you said with Schumer here, is just doing it to stall. That tells me they have the votes. Because if I knew I was going to defeat this, if I knew I had the power to overturn this, I'd be like, yeah, we don't need to read it. Go ahead and vote. Watch what happens. See, what this tells me is it's going to pass. At least, it did. It passed the consideration stage. Now you're trying to delay the actual passage of it, which tells me it's going to pass. You don't do this. You don't do this at all if you're down, 10 points in the fourth quarter. You let the clock run out. These guys here are trying to stop it, and it's not going to work. Why do I have this distinct feeling there are political hands in my pocket? Probably because there are. I thought you had to pass it before you could find out what was in it. Yeah, exactly. You're right. Yep, they're not doing that. Great idea. Schumer, you want it? Let him read it. Because Schumer probably made his little statement, his little speech, and then he ran off to his little corner of the world and went to sleepy night. And all the rest of them went home, went sleepy night. And they don't care that some woman and some man are standing out there on that podium just standing there reading this crap that you put together. Which another question is, why the hell are these things always 1,000 or 1,200 pages? Why can't we do like the Grok summary? Hey, listen, can you put all this like in a 5-page document? I think they put this stuff in thousands of pages because they want to confuse people. I did get a text from SV. I mean, the mods have just been doing overload time. SV says they're on page 580 out of 940. So they're a little bit over halfway, which means after this show, when I'm probably going to eat something and reconfigure it, and I'll put it on, because if they've gotten 10 hours, 11 hours, and they're only at basically page 600, and that means they've got 400 left to go, the fireworks are probably going to start. Let's say it took them 10 hours to get this far. The fireworks are going to start about 3 or 4 o'clock p.m. because now it's going to be up for consideration and everybody is going to be talking. And then they're going to get up on the podium. Then it's going to get real interesting. So I'm going to do a different thing with the configuration of the feed. I'm going to be able to do this. I can see, last night I was going to bed too. I stayed up for as long as I could, and so it just ran, and I wasn't able to come in and talk or anything because I was sleepy. But today, it's a new day. I'm up. It's bright. I'm going to go to church. I'm going to eat. And then when I come on, it'll be just like this. It'll play, but I can come in and talk, and we can, see what's going on, and we can put different things up on the screen. I can start showing you what the different senators are saying and as they're tweeting, so we can see this. So this show, just to let you know, is going to be, he will not be late. Because this is broadcast, so it's a definitive start time and a definitive end time. There won't be like he's going to be like 30 minutes late. No, this thing will start promptly at 10 a.m. So in about 9 minutes, this show will actually start with Maria talking to President Trump. I don't know. I would almost guess that it's a pre-recorded. I don't think he took the time to fly to New York today as all this has been going on. I don't think it's going to be live. I hope it's not a call-in, but it might be a call-in. But if it's a call-in, I hope it's a call-in with video, not just, the picture of the president with talking on it. But we shall see. SB has posted here that the White House plans to tighten the screws on intelligence sharing with Congress after someone spilled early details about the strikes. Yep, I heard that. I heard that they definitely were going to do that. Let's see what else. Instead of posting everything on CapNet, what the hell is CapNet? The classified info hub for lawmakers. The administration is keeping things closer to the chest. The move Democrats are already roasting at suspiciously opaque. Interesting. Deanna says last night she fell asleep around 1:30 and her phone woke her up at 4:45 this morning. I went to sleep probably about midnight. I can tell you what time I went to sleep because I was texting with Ashley and Robin, and then all of a sudden they're texting back, and I didn't respond because I was done. I was done. So about midnight, I was toast. Dog woke me up this morning, poking me like, you gotta take me out and check your computer. I'm like, okay, I did that. I asked Grok why a request of the reading wasn't funded by the party that requested and not be paid by taxpayer monies. Grok said this is not normal, but a tactic, and it's a good idea. Donna, you are correct. It's all BS. But you know what the problem with this is, really? What the problem is that, and I'm going to go back to something that we talked about yesterday. We talked about yesterday about unification, getting this country back together, getting this country back to its September 12th, 2001 days. And I said, it's never going to happen. It's not going to happen. And this is part and participle of that. The Democrats and the loons are okay with this. They are okay with lawfare. They are okay with doing everything you possibly can to block Trump. They're not interested in coming together. And I think more and more people have to begin understanding, is this really where we are? Yeah. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was the pandemic. I don't know what happened. But we are at a place right now in this country where people, if they think you're a Trump supporter, if they could get away with it, would take you out. They're as bad as like the people over in those Middle East countries. They hate us. And what's really weird is Rob and I were talking at dinner last night. A couple of family members of hers who live up in the Asheville area, they are Democrats. They're not loons. They are Democrats. And we were talking, we're like, you know what? They probably voted for Trump. If they didn't vote for Trump, they probably stayed home. They didn't vote for all this crap. One of her, sister's husband's father, I don't know what you call that. It used to be a car dealership guy. He used to own car dealerships. And so he's got money. He's okay. And there's no way that people who are well off, that are Democrats, sit back and go, yeah, I'd like you to take 60 or 70% of my money, and I'd like you to bring in all the newcomers you possibly can. Nope, they don't think that way. A good friend of mine who lives in Delaware, went to school in Delaware, knows Joe Biden, knows everything about that. He and I go back and forth and got to a point where a couple days ago he jumped into my X feed and he's like, yeah, I can't take it anymore. Yeah. And so those people are coming across They're coming across like this. I can't even believe I'm saying this, that I'm going to vote for Trump. But the loons, forget them. I don't even know what the percentage is. I would think probably 25% of the public is never going to come back. And then as things happen, just getting everything set, as things happen, they're probably going to get a little bit violent. Don't doubt that. Because when desperation truly sets in, that's the only thing that comes next. Yeah, lefty loons have no common sense or accountability, and they're not going to try and do it as well. I put up something on X that I can't show here on YouTube, but it was, by the way, did you guys know that Pride Month has one more day in it? One more day, and nobody even knew there was a Pride Month, but they're trying to make up for it big time. Well, I showed a video on my X feed, and on my X feed, these two guys were dressed up as German Shepherds, and while they were dressed up as German Shepherds, they were doing some funky stuff in public in front of kids. Those people are never coming back. They're done. Checked out. Forget about it. That's a severe behavioral problem at that point. And they're never coming back. We all just have to realize it at some point and say, you know what? It ain't happening, man. There's no way we're getting unified. It's not going to happen. A little over 50 years now I've been playing. Oh, guitar. Okay, great. Getting rid of the Green New Deal scam from the Biden administration, its biggest tax cut in American history for working class. Bingo. Yeah, I'm serious, Cynthia. They were trust me. I showed it, and people are like, "Did you Ashley put up? Can you put a warning up next time?" Yeah, it was that bad. I mean, I never saw two dogs making out before. I've seen dogs hump each other, but this was very close to it, and they were two guys. I think they were guys. Who knows how they identified? Why discuss it? And people need a psycho ward. I don't know if you guys saw it. If you want to go see it, it's on my X profile. It's right up there. And they're doing some crazy stuff. Woof. You have to wonder, hey, what do you guys eat when you go to the restaurant? Or is it, oh, never mind. I'm not even going down that road. Not gonna do it. Oh, these people are crazy. All right, so it's 9:59. They're showing a commercial. As soon as she pops on with him, I will cut to it because I'm not playing their commercials. I got my own commercials to play. Actually, there's no more commercials the rest of this show, so don't worry about it. Well, maybe. Hold on. Let me see if anything popped up that I'm supposed to do with my Rumble commitment. And looks like no, we're good right now. All right, so we're just waiting for Maria to come up. Oh, you had to be the one to say that. Sick puppies. Oh, Jennifer saw it. Yeah, she saw it. Yeah, it was gross. I seen Elon running his mouth about the bill. Yes. But you have to wonder, how much of this is, at this point, I don't know. How much of this is theater and how much of it is real? Can't tell you. I know there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Crazy stuff. At this point, believe half of what you see and less of what you hear because we don't know what's happening. We'll find out pretty soon. I bet you it's within, by Wednesday or so, they should be able to get this thing passed. I mean, today is the 29th. Let me see what day is Wednesday. Looking at a calendar here. Wednesday is the 2nd. So what Chuck Schumer's plan here is to pee all over Donald Trump's party. He knows there's a big party plan. I believe the party is on the 3rd. The big event in Iowa or Idaho, which we will indeed broadcast. And then as soon as he can destroy that, they would consider that a victory, just to embarrass him. All right, so Maria is on. She has not brought on the president yet, and as soon as she brings him on, we will cut to it. If for some reason YouTube doesn't like it and they say, oh, we don't want you showing this, for whatever reason, jump over to Rumble. It's broadcasting live on Rumble right now as well. All right, so she's getting ready to see. Okay, she's talking about, okay, this might be interesting.
Yes, before July 4th. The president welcomed us to the diplomatic room in the White House on Friday, adorned by murals of some of the most iconic and beautiful places in America. Sitting on top of the carpeted proud seal of the President of the United States, the commander-in-chief walked me through the strikes on Iran, the agreement with NATO members to spend 5% of their GDP on their own defense, and the news from the Supreme Court. All the while, the Senate was working on getting his agenda across the finish line.
Mr. President, you were just coming off of one of the most consequential weeks anybody has ever seen, from striking Iran to going to NATO, to announcing 2 deals, and then the Supreme Court victory. Have you been able to digest what has occurred in the last 7 days?
Not really. It was a pretty wild period of time, and I really think in 6 months we've taken the country and turned it around. I was told by the King of Saudi Arabia, by the leader of Qatar and the leader of UAE when we went over there, we brought back $5.1 trillion investment into the United States. They said, you know, you're presiding now over the hottest country in the world, and a year ago we thought your country was dead. It could never come back. It was so incompetently run by a very bad president. And I said, you're right, this country is hot. And that was a couple of months ago. You know, now we're talking about what we've done recently. So the country is really going. The numbers are great. I watch you in the mornings and you're giving those numbers and they're really good. No inflation. We have a bad Fed chairman, but other than that, we have, great. It doesn't even matter. The numbers are so good. It doesn't matter that he keeps the rates artificially high. But it's been an amazing period of time.
When you went to the Middle East and you strengthened those relationships with all of those countries you just mentioned, did you have an idea that you would have to do something with regard to Iran? Because you teased it a little. You said, look, they've got to come to the table and talk. Something's going to happen.
Well, it was getting a little bit hot, and we knew they had a lot of sites, probably 3 plus the 1. But they had 3 main sites, and we knew they were going to have to either give them up. And I thought we could do it during negotiation, and we just about had it done. And then they said, we want enrichment. Enrichment doesn't mean like air conditioning, and it doesn't mean to jack up your car. Enrichment is a bad word. And they said, you got so much oil, what do you need that for? And they said, well, we need it. And I wouldn't let that happen. I think people wouldn't have understood it if I allowed that to happen. So we had a 60-day talk, and that delayed them a lot. And then we said, let's go at it. And it just worked out. And we wanted to work out also for Iran. They were beaten up, and so was Israel, in all fairness. They were both very tight. We call it the 12-day war. That was an intensive war. But the thing that I wanted to do, and I've said it on your show, if you look back 30 years ago or 25 years, we've been doing your show a long time, and nobody like you. But you look back at the early interviews, I would say Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They've wanted this for years, and they were weeks away from getting it. And those pilots went in there with those beautiful planes and the most sophisticated bombs anywhere in the world. Think of it, they can go 30 stories deep into granite. Who would think that's even possible? And they did obliterate it, it turned out. Then we had to suffer the fake news, where the fake news in CNN and the New York Times was saying, well, maybe it wasn't as good as Trump said. Maybe it wasn't totally obliterated, but it was destroyed, but not just horrible. And I could see it happening. And they tried to build that into a story. And then it turned out, no, it was obliterated like nobody's ever seen before. And that meant the end to their nuclear ambitions, at least for a period of time. And a lot of people have said, well, do you think they're going to start again? I said, the last thing they want to do right now is think about nuclear. They have to put themselves back into condition and shape.
You tweeted, the Democrats leaked an intelligence.
They should be prosecuted.
Who specifically? Do we know? Will you be able to find out?
You can find out. they wanted, they could find out easily. You know, you go up and tell the reporter, national security, who gave it. You have to do that. And I suspect we'll be doing things like that.
Well, those pilots were so courageous, and you want to honor them. Are you going to do something for them? Or
yes, they're going to come to the White House. But what you said is right. These people flew 36 hours in a small space, a big plane, but a small space that was mostly occupied by bombs. And they flew so brilliantly, and they hit a target the size of this circle. The little target, they say, half the size of the refrigerator door from 50,000 feet up in the air, going at a rapid speed because they're going very fast when they're over a pretty rough territory. And they hit it every single time. And then they knocked out 2 other sites aside from that.
Do you think that the Iran regime hid some of the enriched uranium before the strikes?
No. You mean, did they take it out of the deep one? No.
Because you were pretty clear you can't have a weapon. You're going to have to come to the talk. Something's going to happen.
I don't think they did. No, I think, first of all, it's very hard to do. It's very dangerous to do. It's very heavy, very, very heavy. It's a very hard thing to do. Plus, we didn't give much notice because they didn't know we were coming until just, then. And nobody thought we'd go after that site because everybody said that site is impenetrable. You can't, you're not going to be able. This way they did. It's at the bottom of a mountain. And it's granite. Granite's the hardest stone, and it's granite. So, no, they didn't. But I do believe they had people there because you had cars. They were saying cars. And those were masons. Those were people working with concrete. They were trying to seal up the entrance to where the bomb would most likely go in. And they did that. They were working on that, and the bomb went through it like it was butter, like it was absolute butter.
Because I saw reports that there were 400 kilograms, 800 pounds that they moved, but I wonder if it's traceable. I mean, if they were to have moved,
they didn't move anything.
They didn't move anything.
You know what they moved themselves? They were all trying to live. They didn't move anything. They didn't think it was going to be actually doable what we did. And what we did was amazing. And we went, there were energy commissions that went there now. No, it's just thousands of tons of rock in that room right now. That room, the whole place was just destroyed. And the other 2 also. Now, Israel was able to do damage, but we did the final damage. And we have the greatest submarines in the world. We launched 30 rockets from submarines. Every single one of them hit their target.
How will you know if he tries to start things up again? Because Iran just said that they are halting cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog.
The last thing they're going to be doing right now, for a period of time at least, is nuclear. They've had it. They've been trying it for 25 years. The last thing they're going to do is nuclear. We had to hit them, though. They were close to getting a nuclear bomb, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I've heard from people inside Iran that the regime in Iran has executed more Iranian civilians in the past 48 hours than the number of Iranians who died in the 12-day war. So, I mean, you've got a regime that's been building ballistic missiles, building or trying to build a nuclear weapon. Why should we think that they're actually going to give up on this?
Well, they might not give up, but they're going to give up on it while they're exhausted. They are exhausted. They took hits like nobody's ever taken. And frankly, Israel is tied. They wanted to, it was the perfect time. We went in, we destroyed their nuclear capability, and we stopped. It was a beautiful thing. And they couldn't have gone on much further. And Israel was that was a very intense 12 days, very, very intense.
Has any other country suggested to you recently, as a result of this, that they want to join the Abraham Accords?
Yes. So we have some really great countries in there right now, and I think we're going to start loading them up because Iran was the primary problem. I actually thought Iran would. I actually thought we had a period of time where I thought Iran would join the Abraham Accords along with everybody else. And frankly, they would have been better off than where they are right now.
And what about the Abraham Accords? Would Syria enter?
Well, I don't know. But, I did take off the sanctions at the request of some of the other countries in the area that are friends of ours. I took off the sanctions on Syria to give them a chance at, the sanctions are biting. They're very strong. And we have sanctions on Iran, too. And, you take them off when I sort of gave the expression today, you get more sometimes with honey than you do with vinegar.
But you waived the sanctions on the oil with regard to China. So you're allowing China to still buy the oil from Iran.
No, I didn't say that. We have the sanctions on. And if they do a job, and if they can be peaceful, and if they can show us they're not going to do any more harm, I would take the sanctions off, and the sanctions would make a big difference, as you know. When I was, we had a great success in the first term. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country. By the way, it's going to be absolutely, this is better. This is going to be, I think, even much better. But we had the greatest economy in history. And we use sanctions. You use them very carefully. Sanctions cost us a lot of money. It's not just, gee, we're going to put sanctions on. When you do sanctions, it costs a lot of money. But I would, one of the things I was thinking about doing, you start waiving them for countries like, if they behave themselves like Iran, where they can sell oil and they can do the things that you want to be able to do. The sanctions are very powerful, and it makes it difficult. I'm not looking to make it difficult. I want them to have a good life, but they were trying to develop a bomb. And the reason you try and develop a bomb like that is to use it.
But I want to get your take on China, really, because you've announced an agreement with the Chinese Communist Party, where China will export the rare earth minerals.
Yeah.
What does that mean in terms of this upcoming tariff structure? You've got a pause in terms of the more steep tariffs that ends August 12th. Are you going to extend that? Are you going to keep that in place, or go back to a higher tariff on China?
China's going to be paying a lot of tariffs, but we have a big deficit. They understand that. I have a great relationship with President Xi. We have to do something about the deficit because we have a big trade deficit with China. Biden let it get up to $1 trillion. Think of it, $1 trillion deficit with one country. He let them just take them over the coals. We're not going to do that. But we're doing a rare earth deal, but we're also doing, remember, we have all of the airplane parts. They can't fly their airplanes without us. So we had, some cards also. But it should have never gotten that way, because we should have been doing they call it magnets. It's a rare earth, but they call it magnets, a specific type. And they're making those magnets for us right now, and things are well. And we have a deal with China. It's a good deal, I think, hopefully for everybody. We had a deal with China where it was 145% tariffs. And I will tell you, everything stopped in China. I saw that. Everything stopped. And we did China a favor, but we're getting along well with China. I think getting along well with China is a very good thing, but they are paying substantial tariffs.
Well, I noticed that, because it seems like you go so far with China, but you don't sort of use the leverage that you can use. I mean, look.
If I ever had to use it, I'd use it. But when there's no reason to use it, that's good too.
Well, we did just arrest 3 or 4 Chinese nationals who tried to bring a pathogen into the country that gets people sick and destroys food supply. We've got hacking.
You don't know where that came from, though. I mean, did that come from the country, or is that 3 wackos that happened to carry something? You just don't.
Well, there was one that he signed that he would be, one of them signed a paper saying that he would value Mao Zedong's value system. So there was that. And then they hack into our telecom system. They've been stealing intellectual property. They fentanyl, COVID. I mean, all of this stuff. So how do you negotiate with obviously a bad actor and trust them on economics?
You don't think we do that to them? We do.
So
we do a lot of things.
That's the way the world works?
It's the way the world works. No, it's a nasty world.
And then you just do a trade deal?
We do. Well, we made a lot of money with this trade deal. I do a trade deal if it works. We made a lot of money with the trade deal.
You think that China is going to stop bullying companies to give them information in terms of in exchange for getting those rare earth minerals now?
Well, the companies shouldn't put themselves in that position. They really shouldn't. Now, I will say this: China right now needs those companies much more than they needed them 2 years ago. 2 years ago, China could do that. Today, they can't, because they need those companies. They need Apple. They need all of, Apple's spending $600 billion, $700 billion in the United States building plants. They were never going to do that. Think of it, $700 billion. But a lot of the companies that are in China are now relocating back to the United States. So, yeah, China's going to treat them much better as they need them. They didn't need them under Biden because they were ripping us off left and right. They need them under Trump.
You just had a big success at NATO, getting the members to agree to spend more on defense. Is there anything you can do to get Congress to codify this, to get their governments to codify it?
You can. What you do, the best insurance is if they don't do it, you leave. You don't do business with them anymore. You don't do business. You have to have a certain trust, but you can also say trust but verify. but we're making unbelievable deals.
There is litigation around the legality of those tariffs. Are you going to be able to get more trade deals done before you hear from the International Court of Appeals in August?
Sure, but we won the litigation and we had the delay and we had some radical left judge and then we had it overturned. And we're doing well in all of our litigation. We're doing well on the tariff litigation. Look, if some judge said we can't do tariffs, we would fall prey to the rest of the world who would do tariffs and are doing tariffs on us. If we couldn't fight them back with tariffs, this country would be in terrible shape. We would be like this innocent lamb being led to slaughter. So, no, we're doing great on economics. We're doing great on tariffs. Tariffs is just a part of it. We're drilling like never before. That's how the oil got down low.
The Supreme Court victory that you got today, Friday, do you think that could apply to the tariff litigation that's pending here in terms of the legality of your tariffs? Does that affect that at all?
It could. But again, the tariff litigation, if you look at it, there are alternatives if we have to use them. They're not as good because they're not as direct. They're not as biting, but they're very good. So that you have alternatives. But we want to use this particular asset, this particular grouping, the words of this are so beautiful. They were meant for it. But what happens with the tariffs is that if a judge ruled against us, and this is part of how you win, fairness is also a part of the law. If a judge ruled against us on tariffs, we would fall prey to other countries destroying us. We can't do that. If they do tariffs on us, we do tariffs on them. If they charge us, we charge them. Then they never charge us.
Coming up next, President Trump's agenda soon to be executed with his big, beautiful bill expected on his desk by Independence Day this upcoming Friday. Stay with us for more of my exclusive with President Trump, the first interview since bombing Iran's nuclear ambitions. Back in a minute.
All right, so while they're on commercial break, let me jump in here and tell you that the morning shows, the 60 Minutes and all that, not 60 Minutes, Face of the Nation and all that kind of crap, Meet the Press, they're all running right now, and all the Republicans are out there hammering. So they got a full court press going on. So let me show you a couple of the clips while we can so you guys can hear this.
The reforms in this bill are necessary, and we're going to deliver actual solutions to the American people, and I am excited about that. And I think when the American people actually get to see this in fruition, they absolutely are going to be too. I mean, you think about the things we're doing, like securing the border, not just now. We won't always have a President Trump who immediately came in and got border crossings down to basically zero. I mean, if you think about where we are there versus the influx under the Biden administration, if you think about where we've been in our national defense, not only has President Trump reinvigorated our armed services, and we've seen recruiting rates go through the roof. You look at what he's been able to achieve just in the last 2 weeks. People know that we need to make sure our warfighters are the best trained, equipped, and ready across the planet. This bill does that. This bill does no tax on tips. It does, no tax on overtimes. Real hardworking Americans are going to see results of this. And one thing that we haven't talked enough about is child care. The child care provisions in this piece of legislation, I was the tip of the spear on that. We have actually not updated those since 86 with regards to DCAPs or under Reagan. And then you move forward when it comes to the other two provisions of child care, the tax structure. We haven't done that since 2001. Look, the affordability and accessibility of child care is challenging for parents and hardworking Americans across the board. Because of this piece of legislation, they're going to be able to keep more of their hard-earned money, and businesses, large and small, are going to be empowered to be a part of the solution. So these are real, tangible things that Americans are going to see, and they're going to like what they see when this goes into effect.
That's Katie Britt. I believe she's from Bama. I think she's from Alabama, senator from Alabama. So she talks fast, but she's a good deliverer of information. She's pretty quick, but she looks good. She's got a good smile, so she does very well on television. I think this woman could have a future. Katie Britt from Alabama. I believe that's where she's from. Next up here is Jim Banks.
Remember, this is a tax bill. This is about taxes on working class Americans. And if we don't pass this bill, these Americans will get such a big tax increase. Well, I'm the son of a factory worker. Everyone in my family is blue collar, working class. They're all going to get socked by another $2,000 on average every year. They already tell me they can't keep up right now. And the Democrats want them to pay more in taxes. The Republicans are the party of the working class. The Democrats are focused on screwing the working class with higher taxes and increasing the size and the scope of government, spending more on government. That's who they care about. President Trump and Republicans are serious about cutting taxes on the people who need it the most.
All right, so next thing I got for you is Mark Wayne Mullen. If I have time, let me get this in. They're still running commercials.
Listen, Kristen, the hardest part was getting on the bill. What we mean by getting on the bill is once we pass the House version, which is what we passed last night, then we put our amendments on it and we go into debate. Although right now there's a stall tactic, obviously, by the Democrats. They're making them read page by page, which I think is great. I hope the American people pay attention to it. I hope the Democrats pay attention to it, because it's going to be very hard for them to argue about what this actually does. This cuts spending. It's the largest deficit cut by any Congress ever in history. It makes tax cuts permanent, which instead of taxes going up January 1st by $4 trillion, it actually restores the tax cuts. And it's going to, the average household of four is going to bring home pay over $10,000.
But the problem is if we're 2 days late or 5 days late, everybody says, oh, he had a tremendous failure. Whatever it is, as long as we have it, it's very important. If we don't have it, there's a 68% tax increase. If we don't have it, the debt ceiling extension is very important. They gave a debt ceiling, the Republicans gave a debt ceiling because of the importance of doing it. They did that for the good of the country, and Republicans voted for that. They did a big favor. I don't know that I would have done it, to be honest with you, but whatever. They did a favor. Now the Democrats won't do that favor back. In other words, you never want to violate your debt covenants. So they gave, you know what I'm saying, they gave this 4 months early. It was due on September 28th, right before the election. A group of Republicans got together and said, you know what, this is so serious. We should do this for the good of the country. I understand that. Now it's their turn to do it, and they won't do it. There are a lot of bad people in the Democrat Party.
How are you going to deal with the $9 trillion that's coming due this year?
Just turn it over. Oh, well, let me tell you that we're going to do it this way. We're going to turn it over short term because we have a stupid person at the Fed. If he would lower the rates, but I don't want to have to pay for 10 years debt at a higher rate. And then when you get somebody into the Fed who's going to be able to lower the rates, we should be at 1% or 2%. If you look at Switzerland, they're the lowest right now. They're at much less than 1 point. And frankly, we should be there too, because without the United States, the whole world doesn't work.
And you teased a couple of names. You said you have a couple of people in mind
I have
as a
three.
successor to Jay Powell.
They'll all be good, yeah.
But you're not going to do that right now. So why do that? Just to put more pressure on him to come in?
People that know, because reporters ask me, you have other names? And I say, yeah, I do. Anybody but Powell.
And would it be Kevin?
Or he's a bad person.
Yeah.
Kevin is very talented, but I don't know if it's going to be him, but he's a very talented guy. He wouldn't be doing what Powell is.
Mr. President, I think I know your priorities in the big, beautiful bill. I mean, obviously, you want to get the tax cuts extended, and you've got other tax cuts.
Many other things, though. Takes care of the border. There's also no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime.
But I've spoken to a few senators, and they've gotten together, like Rick Scott and Ron Johnson and Mike Lee. And, Rick Scott's worried about the overall cost, and Mike Lee is worried about the Inflation Reduction Act. And,
the Inflation Reduction Act is what caused a lot of problems.
So why don't you just take that out of the bill?
It was the Biden administration.
Why are there still green subsidies in that?
I'm all for that. I think we shouldn't be giving money to all of these scams. But what happened is some of them have been started, like projects. And if you stop it, it's in the middle. So I understand that, too. And people work there, and they're, working there, and they're from the district of a congressman or a senator. But no. The Inflation Reduction Act was another Biden scam. And when I say Biden, it's not Biden. It was the lunatics that work around the, in the Oval Office, around the beautiful Resolute desk. It's not Biden, because I don't think Biden knew what was happening. I think that the auto pen is one of the biggest scandals in the history of this country, because the person that operated the auto pen was the president of the United States. And I think that that's going to be sought out, and we're going to find out what happened.
Well, I believe it's this week. That's 1 year ago, which was the debate where his mental capacity was exposed to so many people who didn't know it. Many of us saw it, obviously, in advance. And now James Comer at the Oversight Committee wants lots of people to come in. Who would you like to see come in and testify on that? Under oath.
I would say Lisa, who was in there.
Is that the deputy AG at the time?
Yeah,
Lisa Monaco.
He was a big supporter of Andrew Weissman. These are people that I think are very bad people. They had radical left lunatics working there, and they took over that office. They didn't want Biden, and then after a little while, they realized he's incompetent. This is really a good thing, and they ran that thing. Look, Biden was never for open borders. Biden was never for transgender for everybody. He was never for men playing in women's sports. He was never for that. Biden is a disaster. This is a disaster. But the worst thing that he's done to us, inflation is terrible, but I've solved that problem already. Inflation is bad and other things are bad and many things are, and the fact that we have no respect all around the world for the country, but now we do I think maybe at the high, we took it from the lowest to the highest level in 6 months. But if you look at what he did to the border is so bad. So much of my time is spent on the border. You know, last month we had no people coming.
I know. What you did.
But the bad part is he let in 21 million people. And we have to check those people. Totally unvetted, totally unchecked. And 11,888 have murdered people. Half of them have murdered more than one person. People come in from gangs, from prisons. They emptied out Venezuela, emptied out its prisons.
Have you been backing away from this, though? Because recently you said, let's ease up on, taking in people who are working, hardworking, like in farms and hotels.
I don't back away. What I do I cherish our farmers. And when we go into a farm and we take away people that have been working there for 15 and 20 years who are good, who possibly came in incorrectly, and what we're going to do is we're going to do something for farmers where we can let the farmer sort of be in charge. The farmer knows he's not going to hire a murderer. But, when you go into a farm and he's had somebody working with him for 9 years doing this kind of work, which is hard work to do, and a lot of people aren't going to do it, and you end up destroying a farmer because you took all the people away. It's a problem. I'm on both sides of the thing. I'm the strongest immigration guy that there's ever been, but I'm also the strongest farmer guy that there's ever been. And that includes also hotels and, places where people work, a certain group of people work. So we're working on it right now. We're going to work it so that some kind of a temporary pass where people pay taxes, where the farmer can have a little control as opposed to you walk in and take everybody away. But no, the criminals are going out of this country.
Right. You said it from the beginning. You wanted to first focus on the criminals. But I'm wondering if this change in giving people a pass is a response to the critics who said the execution was a little clumsy. People were afraid to go to work. They were afraid to run into ICE. They said, look, if you give a quota to somebody and say, go get me 600 people who are here in the country illegally, they'll come back with 600 people, even if it's not the right 600.
So the execution was unbelievable because you have no people coming through our border anymore. Right. That's part of the execution. So it wasn't clumsy. What was clumsy is the fact that they allowed millions and millions of people to pour into our country. Take a look at some of the scenes. It's on your show all the time, where thousands of people are trying to bust through a wall. They literally break down walls. There's so many people. And they're thousands of people, and they have no idea who those people are. This, to me, is the worst part of Biden. The worst thing he did was the whole thing on immigration. Now, with that being said, we know who they are, a lot of them. It's hard when they come in. They have no papers. They have no nothing. Just go ahead in. Everybody can come in. They were emptied. I'm telling you, a lot of the Congo, we just made a deal with the Congo to stop the war. They would empty their prisons into the United States. Many other countries, not just South America, Africa, Asia, Europe, parts of Europe, rough parts of Europe, their prisons were emptied into the United States, and the people, you saw the people, they run into the country. To me, that's a sin that we can never forget. We can never forget what Biden and that group of lunatics that work for him have done to our country.
I believe that half of the world's cobalt is in the Congo.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to help develop that? Will the U.S. participate in developing that cobalt?
Yeah, they want me to. They actually want me to. The head, who is a very respected guy, look, I just stopped the war. This war was going on for 30 years. 6 million people were killed between Congo and Rwanda. And my people came to me and they say, they want you. They don't want China. They don't want Russia.
All right, so she's back to another commercial. So I wanted to do a couple points that he's hit so far that kind of piqued my interest. One of those things was he's hitting Jerome Powell and the Fed, telling him he's gotta lower rates. I don't know how many times I can tell you, but I'm going to just say it. No, I won't say it one more time. I'll keep trying to give you guys advance notice. When the Fed drops the rates, which they will, it's almost to a point where he can't deny it anymore. When the Fed drops the rate, the economy is going to be on a rocket ship. So do what you need to do. Get your family ready. Get your resources in order, because that is going to be phenomenal. Next thing, I put a note down here. When she asked it, but she didn't follow up because she's going through her questions so fast, he specifically said that whoever they find out leaked the information on the Iran strike, he wants them prosecuted. And then he said, she did follow up. She goes, you think you can find them? And he just very, very simply said, oh yeah, we can find them. So whoever did that, your life is about to be worth nothing. They're going to destroy you. You leaked this. I hope they give you the big T. I hope they give you the big treason charge. You deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. I'm watching the screen as well. That would be awesome. Then I didn't know they would do this, but I guess they are going to do it. He said they're going to bring the pilots to the White House, which means they're going to be exposed. So everyone's going to know the identity of who these pilots are. I don't know if I'd be for that. I commend them. I salute them. I'd rather there be a private ceremony. I don't want to see these people's faces out there where all these Democrat nuts and all the other nuts decide they want to go after these pilots and their families. But they're going to bring them into a ceremony at the White House. What do you guys think about that? It's kind of worrisome to me. So I checked in earlier on the feed, and it looks like somebody said that about 15 minutes ago they were at page 650 or so. So I'm not sure where they are right now, but they're moving pretty quickly. I mean, it's only 10:30 and they're at page 650. If they can do 100 an hour, which I don't see why they couldn't do 100 an hour. The average person reads, when you're a good reader, at about 150 words per minute. And I don't know how many words were on a page, but pretty much in an hour, that means you could probably go through almost 1,000 words. But let's see where it goes. But right now, they're at 650, and I haven't seen any videos yet that are telling us what has been cut or what hasn't been cut. Just everybody's out there pushing it. We got to get it done. Got to get it done. So we'll wonder about that. So I don't know. We shall find out. I want their identity hidden for their safety as well. These people are going to go crazy. You know what they want to do to the ICE agents and Border Patrol. I can't imagine what they want to do with the people who bombed Iran. Let's see here. Evelyn Wood, people need to protect the pilots. You're right, DP. I mean, I have to believe you're correct. It's up to the pilots. These are soldiers. At their very least, they're soldiers, but they're pilots. But I guess if they feel protected and they want to do it, that's different than being doxxed. You're putting yourself out there. So you could be right. It's up to them. If they want to show up at a ceremony. I've seen one woman already. She a woman pilot, and she already did an interview. I'll see if I can find that with the next commercial, if there is a next commercial. She's asking these questions in rapid succession. So I don't know. Okay, he's back.
Have great guys, Scott, Howard, other people, Jameson. They're talking to all these countries. We made a deal pretty much with India. We made a deal with China. We made a deal with UK, great people. We made deals. But I'd rather just send them a letter, a very fair letter, saying, congratulations, we're going to allow you to trade in the United States of America. You're going to pay a 25% tariff or 20% or 40 or 50%. I would rather do that. So when I get,
Well, I'm trying to extend the pause.
I don't think I'll need to because I could. There's no big deal. It's like TikTok. I'm extending that, but no big deal. We have a buyer for TikTok, by the way. I think I'll need probably China approval. And I think President Xi will probably do it.
Who's buying?
I'll tell you in about 2 weeks.
A big technology company there.
Very, very wealthy people. It's a group of very wealthy people. But what I want to do is, and what I will do just sometime prior to the 9th is we'll send a letter to all these countries. There's 200 countries. You can't talk to all of them, no matter how many people you have. You can't talk to all of them. We'll send a letter and we'll say we would consider it a great honor, and this is what you'll have to do to shop in the United States. We're like a department store to shop in the United States, and you'll pay a 25% tariff, and we wish you a lot of luck. And that's the end of the trade deal, because we have something that nobody has. But if I didn't get elected, I'm telling you, we wouldn't have had a country left. You know that better than anybody. Nobody covers it better than you. If I didn't turn this thing around, this big ship around, we turned it around. Just like those ships coming out of China, they were coming and loaded, and in the middle of the ocean, they were forced to go back because at 145% tariff, Walmart, nobody wanted their product. And that caused a big problem for China. And then I helped China.
So
by reducing it.
We still don't know. We don't have the clarity on what you're going to do with these expiration of these pauses. July 9?
No, I think I
And
thought I just
August 12th
said
with
it.
China.
No, I thought I just said it. You ready?
You're going to send letters.
I'm going to send letters. That's the end of the trade deal. I could send one to Japan. Dear Mr. Japan, here's the story. You're going to pay a 25% tariff on your cars. So we give Japan no cars. They won't take our cars, right? And yet we take millions and millions of their cars into the United States. It's not fair. And I explain that to Japan, and they understand it. And we have a big deficit with Japan, and they understand that too. Now, we have oil. They could take a lot of oil. They could take a lot of other things. But basically, and I'm for doing it right now, we send letters out to all of the countries explaining to them, we'll look at the deficit we have or whatever it is with the country. We'll look at how a country treats us. Are they good? Are they not so good? Some countries, we don't care. We'll just send a high number out. But we're going to be sending letters out starting pretty soon. No, we don't have to meet. We understand. We have all the numbers. Listen, what we're going to do is we're going to send, and we're going to say, congratulations, we're allowing you to shop in the United States of America. You're going to pay a 25% tariff or a 35% or 50% or 10%.
I'll tell you what the U.S. automakers are worried about. They don't want Japan and Korea to have a lower tariff if you do a deal with them than the U.S. automakers are paying.
Well, the U.S. automakers are going to be so busy selling cars in the U.S., they're not going to even have to worry about it. But that won't happen because I set a tariff. Let's say I take a certain country and I set a tariff at 25 and they're charging 35 or 40. I'll raise the tariff to 35 or 40. And they'll come down.
I want to ask you about AI because there are a couple of companies that are announcing layoffs. They're actually cutting people. Some of these companies are blaming tariffs. Some of these companies are blaming they're blaming a consumer slowdown, and other people are blaming AI. Okay, you've got Procter.
By the way, tariffs is what's bringing the companies in. We have auto companies building plants where they wouldn't have built here in 100 years. We have more investment in the United States right now than we've ever had before. Think of it. Yeah, we're up to almost $15 trillion. Look at this guy from last year. What kind of numbers they were to people leaving. They weren't coming in. Now they're coming in.
Like you've said, you brought wealth back to America.
Wealth and spirit back. We have spirit. People respect our country again. It's very important. I'm a cheerleader also for the country, aside from everything else, like you are. We brought spirit back. We brought respect and dignity back. When I went to the European, I was in that beautiful place with the king and the queen, and it was like beautiful. Everything's so nice. But when I went to the Netherlands and I looked, everybody was coming up, Mr. President, Mr. President. They didn't do that a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, these are the big countries. This is Germany and France and all of them. I mean, a big group of countries. They respect America again. They laughed at us. They thought we were a joke. You had a president that kept falling downstairs and falling on stages and couldn't find an entrance to, he makes a little speech that lasted for about a half a minute. And he looks around, he's looking for stairs. There's like 6 different stairs, so he can't figure out which stair. We were laughed at all over the world. More importantly than that, what they did to the country. What they did to the country with allowing 21 million people will never be forgotten. And I have to rectify that problem, and we've done it. And we're getting all the criminals out.
Mr. President, I just want to ask you about the job cuts from these companies. Some of them are blaming AI. And one CEO told me that AI, artificial intelligence, allows engineers to be at least 25% more productive. It's helpful in contract management. It's helpful in repetitive jobs. It's helpful in data. What can you do to offset the job cuts that will no doubt come as a result of AI efficiency?
One thing, very simple, bring more companies and more jobs. You know, the truth is we don't have enough people to take care of these jobs. So it's like perfect timing. We don't have enough people. You know, my biggest problem is they're coming in and they have to hire thousands and thousands of workers. This is perfect timing. We don't have enough people. If AI is so good, which I hear it is, and there's a lot of money being bet by very smart people, I'll tell you, we are dominating AI. That's the other thing. And they all said, well, we'd have a problem because of electricity. We don't make enough electricity. We would have to double our electric power. Can you believe that? And you know what I did? I had an idea. I said, when you build your plant, you're spending billions. You're going to become a utility, an electric utility. You're going to also build a utility. You're not going to take it from an old grid that's been here for 100 years. You're going to take it right from a new facility. And they actually looked at me. They said, you'd do that? Of course I would. It's a national emergency. I'm going to approve everything. And you'll have your approval in 2 weeks. And Lee Zeldin is doing an amazing job, the environmental commissioner. I said, Lee, you're going to approve this stuff fast. Make sure it's safe, make sure it's good, but you have to get it done fast. Because in China, you know how long it takes? 1 day. It's called President Xi. Boom, it's okay. Over here, we're going to have almost the same thing. We're getting fast approvals. And you can do nuclear, because nuclear now is safe and good and inexpensive. But you can do oil and gas, you can do coal. And the reason we do coal is because, and I call it clean, beautiful coal. You can really do things with coal today that you couldn't have done. But the beautiful thing about the coal and the thing that I look at, you know who uses coal? China. 59 plants they're opening this year. Right. Coal. You know why? It's very powerful. It's very powerful. So we opened up coal. We were closing all our coal mines all over the country, and yet we still have a lot of coal. We use the generating plants of coal because it's the strongest, and we're doing coal. So we have everything, every form. I don't want windmills destroying our place. I don't want, you know, these solar things where they go for miles and they cover up a half a mountain that are ugly as hell. And by the way, the panels are all made, and the windmills, they're all made in China. Okay?
Coming up next, New York Democrats vote socialist, and candidate Zohran Mamdani is threatening to ignore ICE agents. But President Trump has a response and plans of his own. Next.
Yeah, I'm glad he's going to be talking about Zohan the Great. Yeah, let's do it. Got another thing for you to take a look at here. This is very interesting. So, the shows are going on right now, and I'm able to get some clips here or there. Listen to Chris Murphy, the Democrat from Connecticut. What an idiot. There's no words to describe this idiocy.
You know, border crossings are at a record low. Do you give the Trump administration some credit for that? And are you, when you look at those figures, do you think things are moving in the right direction, at least in that regard, Senator?
No, I don't give them credit for that, because border crossings are low because they're violating the law every day. So we have a law in this country that says if you are fleeing terror or torture from another country, you can come here and apply for asylum. The Trump administration has suspended that law. They are not allowing anybody to come here to apply for asylum. We wrote that bipartisan bill last year to reform the asylum process, to make sure that only the right people are coming in and that we judge those cases expeditiously at the border. So it's true, there are very few people crossing on a daily basis, but that's because the Trump administration is violating the law. And it should matter to every American that on so many facets, the Trump administration doesn't care about the law. This is becoming a lawless administration. We are on a road to see our democracy atrophy to the point that it will be unrecognizable. And the border is just one example of many ways in which this administration doesn't care about the law anymore.
Can you give President Trump credit for stopping the flow of newcomers across the border? No. No. We cannot give him credit for anything. If he's regular with his bowel movements, nope, can't give him credit for that either. Good Lord, what is wrong with these people? How do these people get elected? What kind of insane people listen to this stuff and go, yeah, let me vote for that guy? He's a complete idiot, gaslighter, propaganda, everything. Where everybody, you don't want to give him credit for anything. No, credit for a pretty wife, credit for having a skyline built in New York. Nothing. You can't credit him for anything. That's how bad the Democrat Party is. And I posted that just so you could see back again what I was saying. People want unity. How can you possibly have unity when the most simple of things that you could say, yes, he has stopped border crossings. But no, it's illegal. He's broken the law. I guess not. I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court said, no, he didn't break the law. But you don't even want to hear it from the Supreme Court. You don't want to hear anything. If the Supreme Court judges in Donald Trump's favor, which is not even true what I just said. It's not judging in Donald Trump's favor. Judges are supposed to read the Constitution and rule in America's favor, regardless of who is president. But they don't recognize that. They recognize the Supreme Court as basically working on behalf of Donald Trump, which is the problem. And so you can't give this man any credit. You tell me how we're supposed to reach across the aisle and meet these people and unify this country. They don't want to unify. I think the more people hear it, the more people have to understand this is their objective, to completely destroy America. Because they're not making not even this much of an attempt to say, you know what, you're right, it's time, we lost. Let's shake hands at the end of the game like you see sports teams do, and we'll live to fight another battle. Nope. Their battle never stops. And their battle is to destroy America and you and your way of life. There cannot be any unity. We need, and I hate saying it this way, we need full submission.
Socialist Zoran Mamdani won the Democrat nomination.
What did you make of the New York Democrat primary? Mamdani.
He's a communist. I think it's very bad for New York. I don't know that he's going to get in. It's inconceivable that but he's a communist, and he's a pure communist. I think he admits it, but I can't imagine it. But let's say this. If he does get in, I'm going to be president, and he's going to have to do the right thing, or they're not getting any money. He's got to do the right thing. It's shocking that I would have assumed that I used to say we will never have a socialist in this country. No, but we'll have a communist. I mean, he's a communist and going to be mayor of New York. So I was very surprised when I said, I never heard of him. I don't know who he is.
Well, he said he's going to fight ICE. He's not going to allow ICE to...
He'll be very unsuccessful.
And he said if Benjamin Netanyahu comes to New York, he's going to have him arrested.
Oh, he's a radical left lunatic.
Who would you be poised to support in New York? I know that you live.
I don't want to say that because, I have a lot of people, a lot of friends, and I have everybody. So I don't want to get into that. I can tell you this: whoever's mayor of New York is going to have to behave themselves, or the federal government is coming down very tough on them financially.
You said you're stopping all trade discussions with Canada?
Until such time as they drop certain taxes. Yeah.
The digital
people don't realize Canada is very nasty to deal with. They've charged our farmers up to 400%, almost 400% on certain products and certain, things. Our farmers want to send in. They have to pay 200, 300, 400%. People don't know that. Canada is a very tough country to deal with. I will say that.
But
and I love Canada.
You have USMCA in place.
I know, but
You'll have to do it.
But USMCA is no good if they cheat.
What does that mean?
Well, there's been things going on that we don't like, and things going on where they took advantage. And hopefully, we'll be fine with Canada. I love Canada. Frankly, Canada should be the 51st state. Okay, it really should, because Canada relies entirely on the United States. We don't rely on Canada.
Mr. President, tell me about the significance of the Supreme Court ruling on the nationwide injunctions. Will that help you?
It took the court system out of the presidency to a large extent. The courts were almost like being the president, and you can't have it. It was such a big decision. This is one of the biggest decisions where you would have a local federal judge who was radical left determining the policy for the whole nation, And now they can't do that anymore. They can go locally, but they can't go all over. A judge from Massachusetts can't make the policy for Oklahoma and other places throughout the nation. So this was a massive decision.
Mr. President, have you spoken to Elon Musk? What happened there?
I think he's a wonderful guy. I haven't spoken to him much, but I think Elon is a wonderful guy, and I know he's going to do well always. He's a smart guy, and he actually went and campaigned with me, and this and that. But he got a little bit upset, and that wasn't appropriate.
Why did he get upset? He just wasn't getting what he wanted?
Look, the electric vehicle mandate, the EV mandate is a tough thing for him, I would think. I don't want everybody to have an electric car. I campaigned on, you have choice. If you want a gasoline powered, if you want a hybrid, I love the electric. I love his cars. I think he's fantastic. But not everybody should have that. And not everybody wants that. And Biden, who's so stupid, he said everybody has to have an electric car by 2030. Okay? I think he said by 2030, which is in 5 years, people don't want that. And how do you do that when you don't have enough electricity? You go to California, where they want everybody to have an electric car, and yet they have brownouts and blackouts every weekend.
Mr. President, let me end on the big, beautiful bill, because here we are right before July 4th. Can you identify anything that you think are big numbers that you could actually cut out so that you could placate or, have Ron Johnson and the other senators who are upset about the price feel better about it?
We're cutting 1.7. Let's see, we're cutting, 1.7 trillion. Think of it. I think I just saw the number a little while ago, $1.7 trillion. But we can grow our country so much more than that. And we're not going to have to do. You also have to get elected. When you do cutting, you have to be a little bit careful, because people don't like necessarily cutting if they get used to something. And what I want to do is do it through growth. We're going to have growth like we've never seen before.
Mr. President, thank you. And I appreciate you sitting down with us like this.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that's the full interview with President Trump and Maria Bartiromo. I think I said that correctly. Interesting. I think you can say the closing point here is President Trump basically told New York in advance, if you elect this communist, you're done. You're not getting any money. And so New York's going to be in quite the quandary. Should they go ahead and elect this communist guy into New York and people begin fleeing, their tax base is going to go way down. If their tax base goes way down, they're not going to be able to afford the stuff that they want to do. Even with his communist ways, there's just not enough of other people's money to do what he expects to do. That's going to be problematic. So, and he also was very interested and coy about it. He withheld his endorsement of an alternative candidate. So there's probably some negotiation to go on. Probably, I don't know, who's going to be governor, whether or not Elise can go ahead and overtake Hochul. Whether or not the new mayor says we're going to figure out some way to get rid of Letitia James and make that trial go away. There's probably going to be some serious backdoor negotiation going on in regards to who he endorses for mayor. Personally, I think he's going to endorse Eric Adams. It's not time yet. We've got plenty of time. No reason to rush. but I think he's probably going to endorse Eric Adams. It looks that way. They've been buddying. They've been closer. He keeps visiting the White House. He keeps talking. So it's probably going to be Eric Adams. And I think with President Trump's endorsement, he will destroy Zohan the Great. He'll blow him away. Remember, in a city of 8, 9, 10 million people, Zorhan, whatever, only got 430,000 votes. One of the biggest cities in the world is no longer the biggest city in the world. One of the biggest cities in the world, and this guy could only pull in 430,000 votes. That's a small town someplace. So I don't know how he's going to win when the rest of New York wakes up and goes, oh, hell no. No, we're not going for this. 430,000 votes isn't going to get it done. And that was the Democrat Party, and he only got 430,000 votes. In the open election, 430,000 ain't going to be close to getting it done. So we shall see. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're gonna end this show, and as of right now, the live feed is continuing, and I'll keep that one running. I won't cut it, so if you guys want to jump over there and have your after party, that'll be perfect. Please go over there and have the after party. There's still like 300 people in that show. I mean, in that feed watching. Then I'm gonna go to breakfast and go to church. Then after I get back from church, I'm going to reconfigure the feed so that I see that. All right, let me back up. When I have a direct feed running, it is just the feed and there's nothing else. I can't get in. I can't make a comment. I can't do what I just did, drop in something, drop in and get back out. I can't do it. So what I want to do, because it's daytime, is I'll let this feed keep running while I'm going to church and everything else. When I get back, let's say about 1 o'clock, I'll shut that feed down. I'll start a new feed where I can come on and introduce what's going on, and I can actually, from time to time, step in and talk to you guys. I think that'll be much better as we get closer to the actual voting on the bill. So by the time I get home and probably go, get everything done, we should be up with a new feed, probably be no later than 1:30. And then when that's up, I'll be able to do graphics and bring other stuff in and everything else. So that's what I want you guys to do, is jump over there and have the after party over there. It's still running. It's still on the channel. And they're still reading. I don't even know what page they're up to. They're just going on and on and on. All right, everybody. Let me read super chats if there are any, but just bear with me. I'm trying to get this feed stuff done. In case you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Last week, I cut a deal with a couple wire services that allows me to pull in feeds from different things, and many people podcasting don't do that. So I can actually pull in things and show them. But when you pull in a direct feed, the configuration is a little bit different than doing a show. So tonight, or this afternoon, 1:30, I'm going to combine them, and I'm going to do a show with a feed so that we can talk and take a look at things, because this is going to be historic. Something big is going to happen. It may not happen till, 8 o'clock tonight, but we'll be on and we can jump in together and talk. So I just wanted to give you some background as to what is Barry talking about with feeds and everything. It's very complex on my end, but nonetheless, I can keep doing it and make this stuff a lot interesting. You won't believe some of the stuff I could pull in. I could have pulled in yesterday. They offered me as one of the selections on the feed dashboard was Jeff Bezos' wedding. I'm like, I don't think anybody cares about Jeff Bezos' wedding. I don't care. But what I found interesting was so many people, including Elizabeth Warren, were bitching about this guy's wedding. Oh my God, if he can afford to have this lavish wedding and rent out Venice, he could pay more in taxes. They can't resist wanting your money. The guy probably pays more taxes than all the people in Congress combined, but it's still not enough. She said that same word. You know that word, fair share. Oh, he's got to pay his fair share. I'm like, damn. When does that end? How much is fair share? I can tell you this. if I had his money, I can't even tell you what I would do with Robin. We would have instead of having an anniversary, we would be having a recommitment to our marriage. Assuming she'd want to do it, but assuming, we're okay in that regard, I'd rent out Venice too. I'd rent out Venice and I'd invite family members and I'd fly in anybody who wanted to come in. And I'd invite y'all to come on over. Why not? It's your wedding. It's his money. I am so sick of people saying they want to take your money. Oh, we need to take more of your money. Money? Oh gosh, you're not paying your fair share. We need to give it to the idiots. People who ain't got any. People who aren't working. People who didn't invent Amazon. The poor peoples. Hey man, I am always one that you should get paid according to your worth, your merit. I don't besmudge him for having gazillions. Neither do I besmudge Elon for having gazillions. He did it. Anyway, all right, real quick here. KRO, best way to unite rivals to give them a common enemy. Interesting. Suzanne Brooke, hi Barry, I joined Modesto Republic Women Federated California 2 years ago. Ladies, find your meeting near you. This is a wonderful club to be in. I'm doing my part. Well, maybe Ashley can look into the Modesto Republican Women and see if we can't get one of those people from that organization on the show. Judy Branch, thank you very much. Dee Dee, keep our pilots secret and safe. Filipino Americans for Trump. And Macon Blackenship, thank you very, very much. All right, so just to recap, not to just continue to reiterate, but I'm going to shut this one down. No after party. The other one is still running right now with the feed with the Senate reading of the words of the bill. You guys can jump over there if you guys want to continue conversing and have fun doing that. I got to run to church. Got to get there. We're gonna make it. We got a good time. Got enough time to take a shower, eat, get something to eat here, and then go to church. And then so we'll see you live here again about 1 or 1:30. All right. Ready. Break.